What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Zendrop YouTube channel. Got Brad Loeffler here, COO of Zendrop, with one of our most senior fulfillment consultants, Roman. And we wanted to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit on one of our best programs that we offer called the Private Agent Program. We're known in a lot of circles sometimes as a beginner platform, but we actually service thousands of high volume merchants through this program. And wanted to bring in Roman here to answer some of the questions that the community has been asking us and tell you why we're a little bit different than most private agents or other suppliers out there. And so yeah, Roman, just if you want to give a little bit of introduction on yourself, how long you've been working with the team, things like that.
For sure. So I started with Zendrop around 2 years ago, going on a few years doing fulfillment kind of before this. I dealt a little bit with ecom, but obviously this is more of the niche I think that I excel in, is kind of helping people in the background because fulfillment can be so complicated. But yeah, I've been working with Zendrop for around 2 years and love what I'm doing.
So I guess to open off with, like, what do you feel like, well, first of all, like, who qualifies for the private agent program? And then what do you feel like kind of separates Zendrop from everybody else that you see?
Yeah, so what definitely, it's always case by case. I think nothing is exactly black and white. So typically we would like to see at least 20 orders a day in your order volume to kind of, get the attention that's needed. But at the end of the day, we all know people are scaling, people are testing stores. So really it's kind of the basics is 20 orders a day, but getting on a phone call with me, understanding your experience in the industry and how long you've been doing it is really enough to see if you guys qualify.
Yeah, because like some people, they have scaled stores massively in the past, but maybe they're starting a new store. It doesn't have 20 orders a day on it yet, but like we're happy to set those people up with fulfillment and get them rolling because we know that they could scale a store.
Yeah, 100%. It's really, the way I like to say is it's not really the store that's qualifying. It's more the runner of the store, the person, the merchant themselves. If you've scaled one store before, there's no doubt in my mind you could scale another one. So that's kind of why we like to say 20 orders a day, just to kind of get you in the door. And then an open conversation with me is really kind of what sets the tone.
Yeah, so it's not like the current store you have is necessarily doing 20 orders a day. It's like, do you have what it takes? Have you proven it before to be able to sell
100%.
at high volume?
For sure.
And what do you think, kind of from your perspective working here the last 2 years, like what really separates Zendrop from some of our competitors?
Number one, transparency, for sure. I think if anyone has experience in ecom, they know that a lot of times, whether or not it's misleading information or even just not providing all the information, I think that's one of the number one differentiators between us and the other suppliers. And definitely even, traveling around the world and talking to a lot of ecom people, it's a common thing that's brought up of just communication. So number one, transparency, and then kind of leading into that, the communication part. Obviously, I have a U.S. accent. I'm from the States. A lot of ecom is done in the U.S. and all over the world in Europe. So kind of being the barrier between, of course, we have a team in China that's doing a lot of the sourcing, but being able to understand the communication of kind of what the merchant's trying to do and what your goal and your vision is for and communicating that to our team in China. Like that's one of the biggest things. And then also price, because we're such a large company and, economies of scale gives us the ability to basically beat quotes no matter what we're doing, as long as we're comparing apples to apples. That kind of goes into the transparency thing. A lot of times you might see a quote at a surface level and in reality that is not going to compare to what you're actually going to get. So just laying all that out for everyone, showing the difference, and then like those three pillars are the biggest things that separate us.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's a really good segue into something we talk about next, which is like, how do we get quotes for people?
Yeah.
How is it a little bit different? And like, how do we make sure that we are comparing apples to apples when someone's actually getting a quote, like, and looking to switch from their other supplier?
For sure. So a lot of times what I've found is at the end of the day, we might get quoted on a time of range for shipping. So for us, and especially the fulfillment team, we want to see tracking codes. That helps with our system. If obviously connecting a store is the easiest way to do it, we can run a shipping report for you in the background. You might think you're shipping with UnExpress, but this kind of again goes into transparency. In reality, maybe 60% of orders are
we see it all the time where like this guy comes in, he's like, I'm using UnExpress, my other supplier is using UnExpress, and Roman's like, they're actually not using UnExpress, or like they're shipping like 50 or 60% of your orders with UniExpress, and they're using a cheaper shipping line with the other, 50% of orders.
100%. And in that instance, right, you might be comparing a quote where we will ship 100% of your orders with UniExpress, and the pricing might be slightly off. And the way to kind of point this out is I could show you 70% of the orders are with UniExpress, and this is how they're able to get these
because
types of prices.
your other supplier gave you this UniExpress price. It's like $1 less than we can do, but really like they're only fulfilling 60 or 70% of the orders with UniExpress. So like if they were doing all of them, they would really be charging you $2 more than we're quoting you, and like
exactly
this whole dance that we play.
And then at the end of the day as well, it's in reality you're still paying that quote unquote UniExpress price, but in reality you're getting a way slower carrier, but you might not notice it because you're busy scaling the front end, where in the back end you have a customer service team that they're the ones seeing the late orders and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's like just not enough problems for you to notice really, but it's like really affecting your refund rate, your chargeback rate, all 100%, that stuff.
Yeah, so exposing that, number one, and then when it comes to like quoting, you always have direct contact with our sourcing team. We have over 500 employees in China, so being able to, nothing's proprietary in China. That's a common misconception, is people think, what can Zendrop quote versus what can someone else quote? We're all kind of, using the same manufacturers, and we have a ton of partners in the space. So
and the same shipping lines.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really what you're kind of shopping for in a supplier is the partnership, the long-term partnership. As a business owner, being able to know exactly what you are getting with your business and having all the information is probably the most important thing, and I think most people would agree to that. So when it comes to quoting, you will know exactly the data, the shipping data, the quality of the product. I know a lot of people, some of my clients do clothing, like there's hundreds of variations between the same type of clothing. So getting you a sample, making sure you know exactly what you're paying for is super important. And then like I said, if we're comparing the same quality material with the same shipping carrier, 99% of the time we're going to be cheaper.
Yeah, and I think that is probably like the biggest thing to kind of hit on, is like there's a million ways you can cut corners when it comes to fulfillment.
Right.
And so like you can cut corners by using a slightly different material. You can cut corners by, again, shipping 30% of your orders with a different carrier. With Zendrop, like Roman mentioned in the beginning, like we only care about being as transparent as possible, even if that means sometimes we lose the business.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to just go win the business and be not transparent. So 100%. Like 100% of the time, the one thing we can guarantee you is that you're going to get transparency out of us, which I think is the thing that people really value when they work with Zendrop. And yeah, like Roman said, we're going to give you all the information that you need to make a decision that's best for your business, right? So like when we quote products, we're always giving you 3 different options for shipping, right? And what we tell you that we're shipping is what we're actually shipping. And we'll give you the average delivery time for the last 30 days, the median delivery time for the last 30 days, and we'll also give you the non-delivery rate, right? Like one supplier might say, hey, I could do this, shipping with SDH. It's a really good price. And they'll say it takes 8 to 15 days to get delivered. It's like, okay, well, 8 to 15 days, first of all, is a huge range.
Yeah.
Like what's the actual average delivery time? What's the median shipping time? And then most importantly, the thing they won't tell you is what's the non-delivery rate? Right? Because like SDH sounds great. It's really cheap. And okay, some orders might get delivered in 8 days. Yeah. It's also going to take other orders 20 days to get delivered. And oh, by the way, like 7% of your orders will never get delivered to your customer. Like that's information that you need to know to make a decision about what to do. And it's not something that you're going to get from another supplier.
100%. People, a lot of times, it's like the cheapest option is usually not the best option. And I think you get what you pay for in China. So
and anything in life, right? It's like the world's a very efficient place. It's like things are priced properly.
Yeah. Typically. And part of my job, and I take like a lot of pride in that, is explaining that and also teaching that, because I think at the end of the day, fulfillment is extremely complicated. There's a ton of moving parts in the background. Will it be perfect? Never. If anyone's promising you it's going to be perfect, they're lying to you.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where part of my job as a long-term partner is we're trying to build long-term relationships. It's not about, a lot of people I'm meeting around the space are jumping from supplier to supplier within 3 months. Like that's disruptive to your business. It's disruptive to the supplier's business. So our idea, our goal, even if it's bad information, like there's going to be, there's a Chinese holiday coming up in a couple months or a couple days. So some suppliers might not even mention that, and then you just have a week and a half long delay, and then it's a later discussion of what happened here. For us, it's, hey, we're about to have a Chinese holiday. You will not be able to ship during that time, and that's not Zendrop specific.
You better stock up now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have the option if you don't want to, but here's the info. You are the business owner. You're the expert in what you do. Here's the info. Make the decision that's best for you.
That you bring up a great point, Roman, about how people switch back and forth between suppliers, and it's very disruptive to their business. It's like fulfillment's a pretty complicated thing, and it's very disruptive to a business to switch fulfillment. So again, like, we're looking to build long-term partners, because the better that the stores that operate under Zendrop do, the better Zendrop does.
Right.
So we're trying to create long-term partnerships where it's like you never need to think about leaving to go to get another fulfillment partner. Once you start working with us, you can just trust us to run the back end of the fulfillment of your business and scale. Focus on what matters to you, which is building a brand, scaling your orders, making more money, and let us handle the complicated logistics, because you don't want to go looking around every few months for a new supplier because, you know, they say they can do this or they say they can do that. Like, you just want to stick with our most successful clients. Like, they're not the new clients that are coming in necessarily. Like, they're the clients that have been with us for many years, because they're not spreading their focus and energy around trying to figure out, you know, what fulfillment partner should I go with, or like trying to constantly change things.
Right. 100%. Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit about onboarding new clients, because I think that is also something that really sets us apart from our competitors. So walk me through kind of what the onboarding process looks like for a new merchant that's using Zendrop.
Yeah, when it comes to onboarding, essentially what we like to do is, after we quote, right, and make sure price makes sense, typically I want to get you a sample of the product ASAP. You know, sometimes you might not need it if it's a very, you know, generic product.
Gadget or something
exactly,
like that. Yeah.
It's pretty obvious that we're finding the right one, but, you know, some product types, it might look like the right product, but we want to make sure it is. So we'll send you a sample immediately, try to get that going. And then the biggest thing is having me on board, a part of the whole process. So I'm available on calls, Zoom calls, however you like to kind of, you know, stay in contact. Texting obviously is easiest. I'm in your group chat. Making sure that fulfillment is set up properly so that, you know, at your scale, and the private agent program is supposed to be for high volume brands and sellers. So it's not just occasionally we have people that are drop shippers, but in reality, it's if you need inventory, like what's the production capabilities of the manufacturer we found, basically laying out all the back-end info so that when you scale, especially now we're about to enter Q4, you know, everything increases. So kind of having me on board and communicating obviously internally with our team, and also with you on what do you want to do to make sure that everything is set up properly. I think that is like one of the most important parts of onboarding. And onboarding can last, it's not just a day. It's longer than that. And just to get to the point where, you know, you can kind of set auto fulfillment on and almost forget about it and go to the front. If we do it the right way, that's typically kind of like, that would be my goal, is to get you to that point where it's not even something you think about. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of what we're doing in onboarding.
And oftentimes it usually takes a couple months, right, to get someone like fully onboarded to the point where like they don't need to think about fulfillment anymore. It's not, like you said, it's not a 1 day thing. It's not a 1 week thing. It's a couple to really several month process sometimes of like making sure that not only obviously in the beginning we have the right product, you're happy with it, you like the shipping line, but then after the fact, we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that things run smoothly. We are making sure that the shipping times that we promised you are actually, you know, being upheld, and they're actually, you know, the orders are being delivered on time. And I think most importantly, we're also checking with the manufacturers that make these products to make sure that if you scale, we're not going to be in a situation where we can't go buy more product. Like with some other suppliers, I've heard horror stories of like, you know, you start to scale a product and then it really starts ripping, and then like a month later it's like, oh, like we can't get any more stock for like 3 weeks.
Exactly. It's going to take 20 days
and
to
it's
fulfill
like
your next
it'll kill your whole business. Like you can't run ads, Shopify starts holding your money, like the whole thing goes south really quick. So like and then like you kind of got to start over from square one at that point. Like you got to build a new store, build a new brand, like you have horrible, you know, meta feedback score, like the whole thing kind of goes south.
For sure.
So that's another really important thing that kind of happens behind the scenes. And what I would call onboarding is like not necessarily even in your communication with the client, but like the back end of like you staying up late and talking to the team in China to make sure that you have all the information that they need to get from the factories, that they relay it back to you so you can relay it to the client, doing that, waking up early in the morning and doing that as well, like
100%,
just being like really on top of things happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, and you kind of brought up a good point as well of, a lot of suppliers they're very reactive to things, and it's like probably one of the most like common things that I hear is, you're doing a bunch of things, and just like your example, then all of a sudden it's now we're going to have to wait 20 days. So realistically, that supplier probably knew somewhat of that. They have the information just like we do on what's the production capabilities of this manufacturer, but it's going that extra mile to try to prevent that. Like I said in the beginning,
instead of hiding it from you.
Exactly. Yeah. Or just, dealing with the problems when they happen, rather than like, is there anything we can do to avoid that problem?
Right.
So it all kind of plays into itself, like the transparency part of things. And that's really my role, is to find creative solutions, because I understand fulfillment. So that's kind of why I like hopping on a call with you, right? Like if you tell me your case might be completely different than someone else's, you might set off some, flags in my head that are, okay, we need to make sure we do this, X, Y, and Z, and proactively, for example, the production capability. Maybe I ask our team, like, what is the production capability? And I know that you're doing low volume right now, but typically maybe you have a hold on your ad spend, so you're gonna scale soon. I would proactively check to make sure that at that scale that you think you're going to be at in 2 months, what is our production capabilities? And if not, if it's something that I think we might need another manufacturer, then that's something I do at that moment to basically say, let's get a sample from that other manufacturer, test it to our one that we're currently using. So when the time comes where if this manufacturer isn't able to produce at what we need, we already have a backup plan. We're sourcing from 2 manufacturers, and realistically, you might not even know about that. I obviously would communicate it with you, but the whole idea is that's my responsibility, not yours as the merchant, right? We want you to focus on scaling ads. We want you to focus on doing what you know how to do, and then let us figure out to make sure we can get you to almost perfect fulfillment, but that's kind of the gist.
It's like you said, there might be a factory that we're buying from that we sent you a sample for, and they might tell us we could produce 100 units a day that you could buy from us. Okay, cool, but like this guy's at 20 orders a day right now, but I know that he's scaled stores in the past. He's got issues with his ad account right now. Like in 2 or 3 months, he could easily be at like 2, 3, 4, 500 units a day that he's selling. Like I got to proactively solve that problem now for this guy. Find other factories, see if the first factory could up their production capability. Maybe we sign a contract with them, find a different manufacturer that can also produce another few hundred units a day. Like maybe I find 3 or 4 more, check the quality on all of those, send you samples to make sure that they're, that the product's up to par. Like we're doing all that stuff in the back end for you so that you could just scale your store. Whereas a lot of other suppliers would just kind of, like you said, deal with the problem when it comes, which is like, oh, now this guy's selling 150 units a day. I can only buy 100 units from that factory. Like, hey, like you're selling too much and we're out of stock. Like, and then you're like, well, go find another factory. They're like, oh, okay, let me go find another factory.
Right.
And then by that time, like now you got a serious like backlog of orders and a big problem on your hands.
Yeah, and also like what you just said is not an overnight thing either. Like me figuring out, okay, we might need to get a second manufacturer.
A while.
It's a long process. It might take a week, but
then
it might take a month.
We got to ship the samples out to you and see if they're good. Like it's something that we need to get ahead of now, not when the problem happens.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit before about shipping, but I'd like to kind of double click into it. You said something before, there's nothing proprietary out of China. I'd like to kind of double click on that a little bit and then chat about it for a second. So you're right. There's nothing proprietary that we have access to or anyone else has access to in China. It's not like we developed our own shipping line. Like the shipping lines are what they are. There's hundreds of them, but again, they're not necessarily proprietary tools. But what we do have is we have access to a huge variety of them. And like you mentioned before, we have tremendous amount of buying power. So what that does is it essentially allows Zendrop merchants to be able to use Zendrop's collective buying power to get pre-negotiated rates with shipping lines. So if, for example, a product, if you just used UnExpress on like your own personal account and tried to ship it, or with a smaller supplier, maybe it would cost $10 to ship this order. But with Zendrop, because we're shipping so many orders every day and we've negotiated super low rates with UnExpress, it might be $7 instead of $10. So you're using that economy of scale to your advantage to get lower rates right out of the box with Zendrop.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to like, obviously we mentioned before that we're super transparent with things. Can you talk a little bit about like transparency around shipping and kind of like, kind of what the name of the game is there?
Yeah, for sure. I think that kind of goes back into the quoting process. When you first get the data, we're pulling that data straight from what's happened in the last 30 days. So when you get a quote from us and it says Unexpress and then it gives you the average, median, and successful delivery rate, that is directly pulled from all the orders that we've shipped with that carrier. And it just allows you to see the true picture, right? You made a great point that 8 to 15 days is like the common quoted shipping time. Of course, 8 to 15 days what does that truly mean, right? And also, you still might have orders that happen outside of that 15 days. That data point gives you no insight to what's actually happening with your orders. So the transparency of understanding, average delivery time, median meaning, more importantly, 50% of orders would happen before that timeline, and maybe 15% of orders would happen after that timeline. So even if like you said, SDH or maybe JS, that's a lower shipping carrier that's super cheap, you will still see that data to be able to make the best decision, right? We could probably quote you Unexpress 8 to 15 days as a range, and also SDH 8 to 15 days as a range. What does that? It doesn't tell you much. So that's kind of the transparency about the data that goes a very long way.
Yeah, so that's really the thing. I think like we could play the same game that other suppliers play, but we just refuse to play it because we're in the business of being transparent as possible, and empowering store owners and merchants and ecom businesses with the information that they need to make the best decision for their business. Like some people want to use JS. Some people are like, I don't care if it takes 17 days on average for packages to get delivered. I just need the lowest possible price.
Right.
Cool. Well, like now you have all the information that you need to make that decision. Where it's like, if we just say, yeah, we can do this price with JS, or like we don't even mention the shipping line, right? You're going to have all these problems down the line that you didn't expect.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, the not mentioning the shipping, I can't tell you how many times I get on a call with someone and they're like, I don't know what shipping carrier I'm using. So immediately that's a red flag.
Huge red flag.
Because not only maybe they quoted you a timeline, but they are most definitely using multiple different carriers. They're giving you one price, right? So it's the same as what I was telling you before. If 60% of your orders, even if you think you're using Yoon, this is even worse than that. We are charging you one price and probably giving a bunch of your orders that are way less of the cost. So they're just making tons of margin there. And then the other side of it is a lot of problems in, fulfillment or even ecom in general are delayed because of shipping, right? So all the problems that happen now are usually from around 2 weeks ago. So knowing exactly when your orders are supposed to be arriving and having that exact data point will also just provide clarity. And to be honest, it kind of prevents, setting the right expectations for you, for us, for your end customer as well. That goes a long way just to limit problems in general.
Okay, cool. Let's jump into another popular topic here, which is customizations. Like white labeling products, custom packaging, doing like R&D on products.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of insight into that?
For sure. So basically that's, again, I think where, having a US consultant is a huge value add. I have many clients, custom packaging is very basic. That's something, it's very easy to do. We could have that done in close to 24 hours, as long as you know your vision and I can get that to our team. But even, full customizations, like you have a product that you've seen 3 different variations of it and you want to take a piece from one of those 3 to make your own unique product. That is something I've worked on with tons of clients. It's a longer process for sure, but it's something we're very easy and very capable of doing. And that also, as well as, trying to communicate that to maybe English is usually most, private agents or other suppliers, like English is their second language. Obviously, it's a lot easier for me dealing with our team for as long as I have to communicate your vision to them versus you maybe sending a bullet point over a text message. So that's a huge value add, I think.
Especially if I think the big, again, like obviously everything you just said is a big value add, but I think probably the biggest thing is the amount of time that it takes to do it through us versus another supplier. Because for example, like if you have a client that wants to do custom packaging, you'll just pick the phone up and call them, at noon their time, like you're actually on the same time zone, and you'll get the vision of what they want. You'll ask them a bunch of questions. They'll give you a bunch of answers. And then later that night, you could just communicate to the team in China, hey, this is exactly what this person wants and needs, versus working with another agent who's on the complete opposite time zone as you are, like sending them a message, waiting up at night for them to reply. They reply, maybe you went to sleep already. The next morning you send something to them. It's like that 10-minute conversation that you have with someone on the phone could take 10 days, longer even, if you're having like sporadic conversations, one message at a time. And it might, at that point you're playing kind of like a big game of telephone where it's like, you might not even get the thing that you wanted in the first place.
On top of the fact that, Mandarin might be their first language and not English. So that alone can also, on top of everything that you just mentioned.
Cool. So one of the last things we kind of wanted to wrap up with is, we keep this program pretty exclusive, and we make sure that the people who are getting the service are getting the best possible service that they can. So can you talk a little bit about like that exclusivity element to the program?
For sure. I think we definitely talked about the qualifying metrics in the beginning. 20 orders a day is kind of, it's enough to say that you have experience in ecom and you're selling at least. But we definitely really strive to keep it exclusive, and it kind of flows through our team in terms of, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of, I'm available 24/7. Like you mentioned earlier, I am up at night speaking with our team in China, just based off the, the time zones. And then I'm up in the morning, seeing if I can catch them at the end of their day, trying to figure some things out. And to be able to do that, we need to make sure that the people that we're running that type of program for, qualify for that, right? So they have to be doing a significant amount of volume to where it makes sense for both parties to kind of get the best service that you can possibly get. And we can't, saturate that. So keeping it exclusive is honestly going to be what benefits everyone in this situation. And of course, like Zendrop, it's not like you can't use us, right? We still have a completely other side of the business that you can still have my contact. I can still set you up within the platform, but the private agent program itself is, it's a branch of what we do. And we try to have high standards to make sure that, the people in the program appreciate it and can continue to scale with it.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the main point is like we need to keep the standards high because like you mentioned before, fulfillment is complicated. And we've kind of found that like 20 orders a day is really the threshold where it's like, all right, this person has proven potential. They're consistently doing at least 20 orders a day. Like they can sell, they know what they're doing. And we have to kind of reserve the bandwidth that our team has to be able to focus on those clients to give them the best service possible. And like Roman mentioned, if you're doing less than 20 orders a day, you could absolutely still use Zendrop. You're using the same fulfillment team. You're using the same service. It's just not as high touch, which typically works because it's like you're still testing products. Like you really just need to like source products and ship them. You could do that all within our app. And it's really simple to do. But once you get to that point of like 20 orders a day, someone from our team, if you're using Zendrop, someone from our team will reach out to you and onboard you into the private agent program where you'll get access to Roman or someone like Roman. You'll get access to someone from our team in China. You'll get access to an account manager as well. And that team of 3 people are really like your fulfillment team. And then you'll obviously still have access to the whole backend and operation that we have in China. Appreciate you guys sticking around for this video. Thanks, Roman, for joining us and chatting about the program. If you guys are interested in joining the program, you can sign up for Zendrop and connect your store. As soon as you connect your store, we'll see if you qualify for the program. And if you do qualify for the program, we'll reach out to you probably via WhatsApp or iMessage if you're here in the States. And again, you can do that by visiting Zendrop.com and signing up for a free account and just connecting your Shopify store. It's like the first step that our app takes you through. Or you can go straight to Shopify from the App Store, install the app, download it, and then your store will automatically be connected to Zendrop. And like I said, if you're doing at least 20 orders per day consistently for the last few days or week or so, we will reach out to you without you even needing to contact us. Someone from our team, either Roman or someone else, will contact you, get you all set up, situated for fulfillment, get you a quote, and all that good stuff. So again, appreciate you guys sticking around, and thanks again, Roman, and we'll see you on the next one.